Morning people, it's 8:57 in the AM on the 25th of March 2014. Back up at the plot on quite a nice morning, I have to say, because the last week or so has been really cold. It's been very changeable. But yeah, I decided to pay a visit up to the plot, see how things are coming on. Quick update on the broccoli, romping away like it was last time. I've got to pot those on today. The green cos lettuce are absolutely pants, and I sowed some winter squash, Hurricane F1 variety, at the weekend when I did pop up here for an hour or two. So yeah, that's what's going on at the moment up here. Just give you a quick shot of the wood so I can see the buzzard just circling up there. In fact, let's pop out, listen to the birds. I don't know if you can get that. Birds are having a good old sing-song this morning, so it's always good to hear. There are my canes that I did last week, still standing despite all the wind that we had. Anyhow, let's get on with the day. Okay, today I'm going to plant some shallots there on the left, 15 shallots red, and I'm going to plant another row or two of my onions, which I started off in the bed outside. In fact, let me go and show you where I'm going to plant these. So, we come out. That's where the garlic is, on the right there. Those are two rows, let me just zoom in, of onions. I'm going to put another row of onions just to the left of that stick that you see there, and then I'm going to plant a couple of rows of shallots just there. Fork is ready and waiting. So yeah, I'll prepare this bed and then I'll plant the shallots and onions. Okay, so I've prepared the section of bed. I'm using a cane as a rough guideline. It's not perfectly straight, but it'll do the job. And I'm just planting the onions. Now you can use a dibber just to create the holes, or you can just use your finger. Anyhow, I picked out 10 onions, and I've started planting them at the top there. I've worked my way down. I've just got the last 3 to do, so let's try and do it. There you go. So just push it into the hole. These are my last 2 onions. That there is the base, and that there is the tip. So you want to put obviously root end in first and leave the top part just showing a little bit. That's what I tend to do anyhow. So there you go. Sorry. Just kind of like that. So the tip is showing a little bit. I know everybody will say, well, once it sprouts, blackbirds come along and they pull them out of the ground because they think they're worms. Well, they do that, but you just go along and you just replant them. I haven't suffered with that much, so well, fingers crossed it won't happen to me. Anyhow, here's the last one. Remember, that's for base, that's for tip. Just push it into the hole there. Just leave the tip showing a little bit, and you're good to go. So that's another row of onions sown for this year. I'm going to put the shallots in here. I've got 15 shallots, so I'll probably do, I don't know, 2 rows of 7. I know that makes 14, but I don't know, row 7, row of 8. So yeah, let's get those in. Okay, I'm ready to do the shallots. There's the cane. You can just about see the holes that I've dibbed. So go along there. I think I've dibbed 8 holes. Here are the shallots. There's 10 there. I've got another 5 in the shed yet to plant. So I'm going to put 8 here, and then I'll do another sowing there. Okay, let's get the shallots. Get that bad boy there. So it's fairly obvious. Those are the roots. That's the tip. And again, like the onions, I just place it into the hole. Leave the tip showing a little bit, and just go along the row like that. So roots in first, top end poking out into your hole that you've dibbed or created with your finger, and go along sowing your shallots. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, he says, until they all fail. Anyhow, it seems to work for me. I'm no expert, but I just follow the same method that I do each year. They come up. I've spaced these out slightly further apart than the onions, because when these do shoot and they split into about, I don't know, 4 or 5 bulbs, and it can take up a bit of space. Anyhow, I'll carry on with that and come back to you in a minute. Shallots are done. Okay, so I've planted the onions, I've planted the shallots, they're good to go. Now it's time to prick out my broccoli. Steady on, ladies, it's not what you think. So essentially I'm going to tease out 8 of those little seedlings and transplant them into these pots here, which are filled with multi-purpose compost. Using my ice cream stick, I've just made a hole in that little container there. And then what you do is you take your ice cream stick, you gently push under the plant and kind of ease it and tease it out, holding it by its leaves, never the stem, and gently drop it into each pot. Okay, so like I said, you just make a hole in your compost. Gently using your, well in this case a lollipop stick, tease under the actual seedling itself, holding it by its leaf, and gently drop it into your pot, firming in the edges. Just move on to the next one until you've pricked out as many of the seedlings that you require. Hole to the side of the seedling and gently push upwards. Holding the seedling by the leaf, dropping it into the hole, covering it over, and you just carry on the process like that. Okay, there are my 8 broccoli seedlings that I pricked on. All I'm going to do now is give them a good watering and let them do their business. We'll chart their progress in the next couple of weeks and see how they get on. Now, if any of those die, I still have those to fall back on, so I can take some of those in the coming weeks if these don't make it, but I think they'll be okay. So yeah, fingers crossed those guys make it. Okay, I just want to talk about some broad beans. Now, you may remember a couple of videos ago I sowed 3 rows of broad beans into a plot. Well, none of those have come up yet. It's still a bit too early, still a bit too damp. But what I am going to do is a sowing of the Scorpio broad bean seeds once I get back home. And I'm going to do a bit of an experiment, is how I'll put it. So what I'll do is when I get back from the allotment, I'll show you what I'm going to do. And yeah, I'd appreciate your advice on it, because I did it last year and it was a success, but I was using a different seed. So yeah, it's all a bit cryptic. Wait until I get home and I'll show you what I mean. Well, that's it for today. I've done another row of onions, I've planted my shallots, I've pricked out the broccoli, I've checked on my failing lettuce. I'm going to go home now, and I'll see you next time. Okay, so I mentioned up at the plot I was going to do a little experiment with some broad beans, the Scorpio broad beans. I've opened up the packet there, you can tell. I put a bean in each pot. Obviously I'll plant them in a minute and cover them up. There's one container with 4 pots and a bean in each. There's another. So that's going to be the experiment. That's going to be the control. Now, what I did last year was I did this exact same experiment but using tomato seeds. And essentially I filled up this tray with compost and sowed some tomato seeds, filled up that tray with compost and sowed some tomato seeds, and then used my hot water bottle to place under one of these trays, and the hot water bottle heated the tray with the one set of seeds in, whilst the other was just open to the elements. And I just did a little experiment to see how quickly the tomato seeds with the hot water bottle underneath them germinated, and it was a lot quicker. I'm going to try that with these broad beans. I don't know whether it will work any better this time around, because tomato seeds do like warm conditions. So it definitely worked for my tomato seeds, so I can hardly recommend that technique. This is just in case you guys at home don't have one of those heated propagators like I don't. I just grow all my seedlings from using these trays here with those kind of covers there. So last year it was tomato seeds, this year it's going to be broad beans. Okay, I'll go ahead with sowing these, and I'll come back to you in a minute. Okay, so not that you'd know it, but I've sown all the seeds, the 4 broad bean seeds, into that one there and that one there as well. I've given them a good watering in, and yeah, what we'll do now is place the hot water bottle, which is there. Yep, nice and warm. Place it there. Balance it precariously on top of that. Do the same with the control. Just bear with me. Putting the seeds over there. Steady as she goes. I'm going to close the vent on both, especially the one that's got the hot water bottle underneath it, to allow for condensation. You don't want the seeds drying out too quickly. Like I said, it worked perfect last year for tomato seeds, but then again they do like warm conditions. So I'm just going to do this as an experiment with the broad beans. It might come to nothing. It might turn out that the control germinate quicker than the actual experiment. Alright, so that's my broad beans underway. These are the Scorpio variety that I'm going to sow and grow in my back garden, not up at the allotment. But it's just a little kind of tip, well, potential tip if it comes off with the broad beans, that you guys might be able to try at a later stage. It definitely worked for me, like I said, last year with the tomatoes, so I can recommend it for tomatoes. Quickly show you my potatoes chitting away. Those are the kestrels, those are the shallots, and I'm also planting some pink fir apples, but I'm not chitting those. Also this season I'm going to have a attempt to grow a really long carrot. A tip I've read about, well actually it was Dan from the Allotment Diary that gave me this tip. I want to grow a really long carrot. I've not got the variety that, the seed that kind of specialises in extremely long carrots. I'm just using sweet candle. Anyhow, he says sprinkle your seeds onto your, your multi-purpose compost, water them, and when they break through and start to show a couple of leaves, starve the seed then of water for a while. I think he mentioned, now I may be getting this wrong, I'm not too sure, up to a month, because what it does, it sends the taproot deep into the soil, and then what you do after that month of starving the seed of water, so to speak, you then fatten it up with water and you produce a longer carrot because the taproot has pushed itself deeper into the soil looking for moisture. Anyhow, I'm going to have a go at that at some stage. So there you go. That's my long carrot attempt, and here's my broad bean experiment. Now what I'll do with the hot water bottle is refill it twice a day. So I'll do it once before I go to work in the morning, and then when I come home on the evening around about 5 or 6 o'clock, I'll refill the hot water bottle again and place it under this one here, leaving that one there just to grow on its own. And we'll see which seeds come up first, either that one or that one. Like I said, it was champion last year with the tomato seeds. They came up super quick using this method. Okay, that's all I wanted to kind of mouth off about. Alright, see you later.